Zeke, what's your reaction to be home? How are you feeling about being home after what you've been through?
Um, I just feel real fortunate. I feel real lucky because for a while it looked real dark for us. You know, it looked like a hopeless situation. So I'm real grateful. I'm just thankful to be home, and I just got to see my boys for the first time. So Moses and Spartacus were excited, so that made me feel good.
I have to go back in time here a little bit to
Right.
May 18th was the day
Yes.
of your arrest. Um, what happened?
There was a march of the Haitian military that were trying to reform themselves, you know, bring back the old military. There was about 8 commanders that they were former sergeants or whatever rank in the old military, and they were trying to reform it. President Martelly had promised during his campaign that he was going to put it all back together, so they all worked to get him elected, and he got elected. So on that day, May 18th, is Flag Day in Haiti. It's a big day. It's usually a lot of festivities, parades, stuff like that. So the military had a march going from Kafou to downtown Port-au-Prince. And I work with the media in Haiti. I work with journalists and translate for them, drive for them. So I had some journalists coming, and I'm friends with a lot of the guys in the base. So we just worked it out to where on that day we were going to help transport the journalists and water, things of that, because it's a long march from Kafou to downtown Port-au-Prince. Is several miles.
Transport the journalists who were covering the
Yes,
events.
yes, exactly. And we also took a lot of drinks, beverages, water. And that's where I asked my friend Steve Parker Shaw to the use of his pickup, because I had a Toyota 4Runner, and his pickup was really handy. So he came with me, and that's what we were doing.
Is he the one from Michigan, or is he from Massachusetts?
He's not from Michigan, Massachusetts.
Gotcha.
The Boston area.
I've read both. Okay.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Okay, so then at some point you make it to downtown Haiti.
Yeah.
And then what happens?
We get downtown, and before we get downtown, actually, it starts to get a little violent. The people are anti-UN, the mass of the people. There was people from all over, from Kafou through the Martissant, all the way downtown, coming along the march. People were joining. It was getting larger and larger. And then as you got closer into downtown, there were UN troops, and rocks started flying, started getting out of control. At one point, though, we got downtown to Chammas, and then the military, they did some of their marching, and some of the commanders went in front of Dessalines' statue, and they gave a speech, and then we were going to leave. So on the way to take off from out of Port-au-Prince back to Kafou is when it got crazy. The people were begging the Haitian military to go back and confront the Minister, which is the UN. And they said no, they weren't going to do it. One thing led to another, rocks started flying. And at one point, Steve's car overheated, so it left us behind where the other people continued to march on. And so we had to wait for his car they put water in it and everything. So, and then once we got going again, then before you knew it, tear gas was coming in, rocks were flying, gunfire. And we were overwhelmed by a police squad called the CIMO in Haiti. They're a special unit, and we were arrested there.
Why were you arrested?
Well, the reason why I think I was arrested, and I was never told why I was arrested exactly, but, you know, I had some Haitian military in my vehicle, along with the journalists we were transporting. And one of them actually passed out during the march, and I was going to take him to a hospital. My girlfriend was also in my car. And the day of the march, one of the commanders at the base, his name's Yves Jedzi. He was a former sergeant in the military. He gave me a shirt, a T-shirt, like as a gift to wear on the day of the march, and it was a military shirt, so I wore it. And so when I was arrested, I had that on. So, you know, I understand probably why they would have thought maybe that I was with these guys or in the military. And Steve, too, Steve had camouflage pants on. So it kind of gave him, Steve, the way he wears his hair, he kind of looks military. So they arrested us together, and it was pretty intense. When they came in, they swarmed in fast. We couldn't see anything because they had gave the gas. And it was just a lot of, you could hear gunfire, rocks were flying everywhere. It was pretty intense, but they got us and then took us to a place called Pompier downtown, where then that's where it kind of the story even goes on.
But you are supportive of this military.
I appreciated what they were trying to do because the UN's been running the show in Haiti for 8 years, and there's never been a war there. Haitians are frustrated with that. They would like to have their own sovereignty, and so they want to bring back that pride. So to see, though, when I first went to Haiti in '91, there was the military there, and it kind of gave you a sense of pride that the Haitians had their own military. So, and when it would rain, especially in Kafou, on the rail, they would clean it up. They'd clean up the mess after a hard rain, which everyone loved, and they did it for free. So that was a big deal. And but yeah, I appreciated the movement that they were trying to put together. And President Martelly, of course, he had said when he ran for president, that was one of the things he wanted to do, was reinstate the military.
Well, what do they accuse you of doing?
Well, I didn't know until days later what I was actually accused of. What I was told I was accused of was maybe I think it was aiding and abetting terrorists, conspiracy to overthrow the Haitian government. And then in the interrogation, I said, I'm friends with a lot of these ex-military officials, just like I was friends with Tupac and Billy, who are gang leaders in Cité Soleil. And so then they took that and added on to that to say I was in gangs in Cité Soleil, was involved in kidnappings, disarming and trying to assassinate police officers, and et cetera, et cetera. And they also said,
you weren't there as a supporter of the movement. You were there as someone working to help the journalists?
I would, well, both. You could say both. Supporting what I'm about unity, trying to unite people rather than to divide, being inclusive rather than exclusive. So I saw it as a good thing for Haiti to bring you Haitians together, because Haiti's a divided country. Haitians are a divided people. So when President Martelly ran on the fact that he was going to reinstate the military, I thought it was a good thing.
What was it like in prison?
The first few days, it was like daycare up in Canapé Vert. It was a cell, we slept on the floor, but that was easy compared to where we were going to go in the penitentiary. When we got in the penitentiary, it was really tough. It was difficult. I had been there before, but never in the bowels of it. And Jaja would tell me about what it was like in there, but I could have never prepared myself for what I was about to see. I was really humbled by that experience because I lost everything. I lost all my belongings. And when you go into a situation like that, you have to use the bathroom in front of the officers and the inmates. You have to bathe in front of them. We were in a cell at one point, a 16 by 22 foot cell with a 12-foot ceiling with 108 men. And it was like, if you've ever seen the movie Amistad, where the slaves are crossing the sea on the boat, that mass of people, one laying on top of another, that's what it was like. It was very difficult. It was very hot. People laying on top of each other, using the bathroom in a bag inside the cell. Both going pee and I don't even know how to say that, if you can say yeah. So it was very difficult. And in the prisons in Haiti, one guy had been in the penitentiary in the States, and he said, Zeke, I would rather do 3 years in the penitentiary in the States than do 3 months in Haiti, because you have to keep your head on a swivel. It's a violent place. You're in there with killers. They live like animals, and there are fights all the time. It's a very nasty, nasty, violent place, and you just always have to be prepared, because you could be sleeping and a guy next to you has a problem with a guy over here, and they get razor blades, they try to cut each other up. It's just, it can be very difficult. And there's cholera in the prison, tuberculosis, AIDS, dysentery, everything you can imagine. So it was very difficult.
Did they put you in isolation?
Yes, actually, the cell we were in with 108 prisoners, we were in that for 5 days, and then they moved us in isolation with the military guys that were arrested, because they were political prisoners, but I think more so for their own safety, because a lot of the population in the jail are from the ghetto neighborhoods like Cité Soleil, and they didn't like the military guys. That's a lot of history stretching way back to the early 90s.
What was the isolation like?
The isolation, we were in probably like a 14 by 7 foot cell with 14 men, and it was dark, big rats, a lot of mosquitoes, and the smell, the stench of of the defecation was coming in the cell. It was tough. And the thing about it, they would put you in there at 4 o'clock in the afternoon, and you wouldn't get out till like maybe 11 the next day. And it was really dark. It was.
How long were you in isolation? How many days?
We spent 4 days in isolation, and that's when my feet started to swell up. I'm diabetic, so being cramped.
Feeding you and giving you medication?
Well, the prison food you can eat if you want, but there's been times in the prison where people died from the food. Sometimes there's maggots in the food. You'll see prisoners picking through the food to see if there's worms or maggots or whatever. So I ate the prison food one time. So usually the other people, if you don't eat the prison food, you're dependent on people from the outside to bring you food. And for the most part, my girlfriend was in prison, in the women's prison, for 25 days, so I didn't have anyone to bring me anything. So Steve's girlfriend was bringing us food, and we were sharing it. We're eating once a day, and we're eating what his girlfriend bought for us.
Okay. And that's what those things are?
Well, no, actually, this was given to me. These things were given to me by a guy that works in the prison that I knew when he was a child. He's grown up now, and he works with the tuberculosis patients, and he gave me these emergency food bars, which these got me through a lot because, you know, me and Steve just shared the one little meal, and that's what we did for the day. So it was tough. And for the first 15 days, I didn't eat hardly anything. And I think I went a stretch of 8 days where I only went to the bathroom one time. And so it was tough. It was a lot of pressure on me. And two Americans and a Canadian had responded on the night I was arrested to bring insulin for me, because when they originally arrested me, the SEMO agents didn't frisk me because they know me. One of them even said, "Zeke, what are you doing here? What's going on?" So I had my telephone on me, and they didn't know that. So they were going to move us so the press didn't know where we were at. And so when a guy took a call from the president, he stepped out of the room, and I made the calls to different people to let the press know, to let friends know to bring insulin for me, to bring needles, alcohol swabs, because I needed that. I knew without it I would die. And even in the prison, they were only letting me give 1 shot a day. And that was tough just to get that. One day I didn't even get an insulin injection, and so without that I would die, you know. And so it was very difficult. But having diabetes for 25 years, I kind of knew what I could do and knew what I couldn't do. So I was getting away with. I was fortunate. I was really fortunate. God took care of me in that spot. Yeah.
How did you get out?
Being in the prison, me and Steve never knew what was going on. We were held up. We weren't allowed to have visitors. We weren't allowed to make phone calls. They kind of just tried to keep us in a hole and away from everyone. They denied us visitors a lot of the time. Fortunately for us, my brother Ben and several close friends, I would say my inner circle of people, they got in contact with a guy named John Shattuck, who's well connected. And John took a risk for us because he didn't know us. John told me, he said, I wish I had a brother like you do, because I knew you through your brother Ben. Him and Ben became close. They were talking for 6 weeks every day, for hours. And he said, I know you through Ben. That's only how I know you. And so he stuck his neck out for us. So we were fortunate.
Who is he? You don't know?
Someone at the embassy asked me that yesterday. She said, how do you know John Shattuck? And I said, I have no idea. I still don't know. I really don't. This has all happened so fast. But I can tell you this, that had he not stepped in with his friends in Haiti and the people he knows, his contacts, they would have tried to stick us in a hole and throw the key away. And we were already preparing mentally for that. And me and Steve both, we would have never accepted to stay in prison for 3 years. We would have tried to wheel our way out somehow, but John Shattuck is the reason why I'm sitting here right now.
Did they clear you of the charges then?
Well, it was kind of when we got out, it's a long story, there's so many details, but to keep it short, the AP reported that the judge said it was a conditional release, and John told us, and all of his people told us, it was unconditional. So, and my passport was stolen, so I couldn't travel anyway. And the very next morning, John and Steve flew out on the first flight out of the country. And then on Monday, when I was able to get an emergency passport, I followed. But it was tense. because I thought for sure they were going to pick me up at the airport and not let me leave.
But you since learned that you've been cleared of the charges?
Yes, we have been cleared. We've been told, and they said it was confirmed. I even think there was some confusion at the U.S. Embassy that I think they thought it was conditional too. But we've been told, and it was confirmed that it was unconditional, and we were able to go.
Are you angry about what you've been through?
I've had a lot of time to sit and think, and I love Haiti. I'm humbled more than anything. I haven't had really that much time to really think to get angry. I love Haiti. That's all I've known for 21 years. So as I'm sitting here, I don't even know what to do now. I don't know where to go, what to do with the rest of my life. I was advised strongly against going back by several people at the highest level. And but
you gonna follow that advice?
I think I'm going to do this is what I want to do. I want to love God with all my heart and soul, and my mind and my spirit, and I want to love my neighbor as I love myself. But more importantly, I want to take care of my two boys, Moses and Spartacus. I want to be around for them because I've been kind of out of their life since 2010.
You proposed to a 20-year-old girl when you got out?
Yes, I did.
She's not the mother of the two kids, right?
No, okay. Not at all. No. Actually, I've been married twice to two different Haitian girls. The one actually asked me for a divorce the day of the earthquake. Okay. The earthquake happened, and then I went to Haiti. And
so is she going to come here?
Yeah, I'm definitely going to try to bring her here. And
she's out of prison, though.
Yeah, she's out of prison. She went to prison for 25 days, and her, along with Steve's girlfriend, were the reason why we were still alive. Because without them bringing us food, they brought us food to the prison every day, and that was big for us. So she was real tough.
From a mental standpoint, this must have been very difficult to get through.
Yeah, it was difficult for all of us, but for me, I was under tremendous pressure because the Americans that helped me, the Canadian that helped me, they were then held by the authorities, and then they were told, I think, not to speak to me or to stay away from me. And then I think that kind of scared everyone away. Steve was in there because of me. My girlfriend Darlene was in there because of me, and then I was in there, of course, myself trying to live with my diabetes. So I felt tremendous pressure. It was very difficult for me mentally. It was a mental war. But I will say this about Steve, too. I couldn't have gone to prison with a better guy. He was tough as nails. He was the most mentally tough guy I've ever been around. He's pushing 58 years of age, and he was really tough. I was proud of him. I got emotional. On day 12 or 13, we were in isolation, and I was thinking about Moses and Spartacus, and Spart's 4, and if I was put in prison for 3 years, he wouldn't know me. He wouldn't know me as his dad. And Moses is in those key years from 12 to 15 when you go through adolescence. And I thought, wow, I'm gonna fail my two kids, Moses and Spartacus, and not be there in these key years. And so I got emotional, and so I leaned on Steve in those days. And day 12 and 13, Moses and Spartacus are born on the 12th and 13th of September. So numbers are big to me. And that was a tough stretch for me right there. But otherwise, my relationship with this guy, this is Jaja. He's from Cité Soleil. He's the most popular prisoner in the jail. My relationship with him made our time in prison easier. And when I first went in the prison, they had a UN, they always had a UN guy with us, like UN intelligence people. And he heard all the prisoners saying, Zeke, 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 and he said, how do you know all these guys? And it was almost like he was trying to implicate that I was in gangs because that I was so popular and I had just come into prison. And he kind of mocked me saying, oh, well, you're a superstar now, because all the prisoners were looking at my tattoos and all those type of things. But my relationship with him, he's like my little brother. I was taking care of him when he was in prison, and it helped us quite a bit, being in there.